For centuries, mankind has peered into the cosmos, longing for answers, questioning the empty dark. But while we watched from below, unknown watchers lingered above. Craft with no wings, no known engines, traveling at unimaginable speed, slipped into our airspace, sparking the fires of curiosity and stoking the fears of the powerful. In government chambers and classified boardrooms, whispers of these encounters grew louder. Declassified memos speak of meetings held in rooms shrouded in secrecy, of protocols hidden from public eye, and the government's clandestine dance with the unknown. In the shadows above and the secrets below lies a mystery humanity has chased for decades. A riddle written in the stars. From the Oval Office to the control rooms of NASA, from presidential pleas for answers to astronauts' whispers of the unknown, the quest for disclosure has spanned administrations, decades, and oceans of secrecy. President after president reached for the hidden files, each met by walls too thick, too fortified to breach. Yet, high above, where telescopes and satellites probe the heavens, NASA now steps into this silent war, armed with science, daring to question what governments have long denied. What truths are they protecting? What mysteries are they concealing from the world? As we peel back the layers of this cover-up, we're left to wonder, is it knowledge too profound for the public, or simply a fear of what lies beyond our understanding? NASA has long been at the forefront of space exploration and scientific discovery, yet its involvement in investigating unidentified flying objects, now more commonly referred to as unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, has often been indirect. Throughout history, while military and intelligence agencies took the lead in the search for extraterrestrial life and UFO investigations, NASA contributed valuable insights that fueled public curiosity about the mysteries lingering in our skies. During the 1960s, amidst the ambitious goals of the Apollo program, astronauts began reporting numerous sightings of unexplained phenomena. Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin encountered strange lights while orbiting the moon in July 1969. Armstrong famously mentioned seeing a light that seemed to be following them as they prepared for their lunar landing. Although their experiences were briefly discussed during mission transmissions, detailed inquiries into these reports were never pursued, overshadowed by the historic event of the moon landing itself.
So this, Bruce, look okay? Roger, that's a good side. There you go. Beautiful.
Adding to this collection of credible accounts is astronaut Edgar Mitchell, who flew on the Apollo 14 mission in 1971. After returning to Earth, Mitchell became an advocate for UFO disclosure. He claimed to have encountered first-hand knowledge of UFOs, stating that he was privy to classified information regarding encounters with extraterrestrial craft. Mitchell asserted that many UFO sightings were being covered up by government entities and expressed his belief that the public deserved to know the truth about what lies beyond our planet. His advocacy and openness about the phenomenon sparked widespread interest and debate, further emphasizing the need for transparency in matters of space and potential extraterrestrial life. In addition to these missions, astronaut Gordon Cooper, who flew both Mercury and Gemini missions, publicly spoke about his UFO experiences. Cooper reported seeing a strange-looking object during a test flight over West Germany in the early 1950s, which he believed was an unidentified flying object. During his Mercury mission, Cooper also claimed to have witnessed green glowing objects. Later in his life, he spoke openly about his belief in extraterrestrial life and insisted the government was covering up knowledge of UFOs. The testimonies of these pioneering astronauts provide a unique and credible perspective on the issue. Their accounts highlight not only the technical challenges of space travel, but also the profound mysteries that remain. Fast forward to June 2022, when NASA made a significant announcement. It would launch an official study on UAPs. This marked a turning point in the agency's approach, demonstrating a commitment to addressing the UFO question head-on. A team of scientists and experts was tasked with reviewing available data, particularly from an atmospheric perspective, as they sought to identify potential threats to national security or air safety. Though the study did not confirm the existence of extraterrestrial life, it underscored NASA's determination to enhance data collection and analytical methods regarding these enigmatic sightings.
We are looking for signs of life, past and present, and it's in our DNA to explore and to ask why things are the way they are. In June of last year, NASA commissioned an independent study team to examine unidentified anomalous phenomena. We did so with a few goals in mind. First, to examine how NASA can use our expertise and instruments to study UAP from a scientific perspective.
In 2023, following the findings of the independent study, NASA established an official UAP research team. This team collaborates with other governmental bodies, including the Pentagon and the Federal Aviation Administration, to approach UAP incidents with scientific rigor. By leveraging data from space missions, satellites, and atmospheric research, NASA positions itself as a critical player in the ongoing quest to demystify these unexplained phenomena. While NASA's role has historically been secondary compared to organizations like the U.S. Air Force, it is essential to acknowledge the broader context of U.S. government investigations into UFOs.
The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States. We've been able to explain them as hoaxes, as erroneously identified friendly aircraft, as meteorological or electronic phenomena, or as light aberrations.
I can't think that that explains the lights that we see tearing across the sky that these pilots have reported, the pilots seeing lights. However, that no doubt can be explained some sort of a weather phenomenon too. I'm sure the Air Force is going to try to do it. They're going to try to point things out and make everybody satisfied that that's what they're seeing is something caused by a weather inversion.
Initiatives such as Project Sign, Project Grudge, and the more comprehensive Project Blue Book sought to analyze sightings systematically, with varying degrees of skepticism and openness. Project Blue Book alone collected over 12,000 reports, leaving 701 unexplained cases that continue to fuel public interest and speculation. In the 21st century, programs like the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program and the UAP Task Force have further reignited discussions around UAPs. These initiatives focused on military encounters, documenting unexplained aerial phenomena that posed potential flight risks. In June 2021, a report from the UAP Task Force reviewed 144 sightings, with 143 remaining unexplained, prompting renewed calls for transparency and further investigation.
Hey, go ahead!
Roger. They're troubleshooting as soon as I hear.
The establishment of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in 2022 further solidified the U.S. government's commitment to addressing UAPs across multiple domains, including air, sea, and space. By working closely with NASA, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office aims to provide a comprehensive analysis of reports, enhancing collaboration and transparency in this field. Through its various initiatives and collaborations with the Department of Defense and the FAA, NASA continues to play a pivotal role in investigating UAPs. Its planetary protection program, while primarily focused on preventing contamination between Earth and extraterrestrial environments, indirectly supports the search for non-terrestrial life, aligning with the agency's broader interest in understanding phenomena beyond our current comprehension. As NASA's recent initiatives push the boundaries of UAP research, it's important to remember that today's questions are built upon a complex history of governmental secrecy. In the mid-20th century, as unexplained sightings increased, the U.S. government embarked on a series of secretive investigations that seemed to inch toward disclosure, only to retreat behind classified files and restricted access. Programs such as Project Sign, Grudge, and Blue Book laid a foundation of intrigue, driven by the question of whether these phenomena represented threats or perhaps something beyond our understanding. Project Sign began in 1948 as the first official U.S. Air Force investigation into UFO sightings. Sign initially took a measured approach, investigating whether these unknown crafts posed a risk to national security. Its findings were compiled into the estimate of the situation, which allegedly leaned toward an extraterrestrial explanation. However, this controversial conclusion was dismissed by senior officials, and the report was buried, deepening the mystery. The program was quickly replaced by Project Grudge, which approached UFO sightings with deep skepticism. Grudge's mission was to downplay or debunk incidents, attributing sightings to natural phenomena or human error. Yet, the more they tried to explain sightings away, the more public interest grew, setting the stage for the next phase. In 1952, as UFO sightings reached a fever pitch, the U.S. Air Force launched Project Blue Book, the longest-running and most comprehensive government UFO investigation. Over the course of 17 years, Blue Book amassed over 12,000 reports, exploring some of the most famous cases of the time. Notable incidents, such as the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO sightings, where mysterious blips appeared over restricted airspace, baffling radar operators and pilots alike, pushed the limits of conventional explanations. By the end of Blue Book in 1969, the project had labeled most cases as solved, though 701 incidents remained unexplained, leaving a lingering sense of unfinished business. Amid this atmosphere of half-answers and withheld information, a powerful figure took a vested interest in these phenomena. President John F. Kennedy. In the early 1960s, as the space race heated up, JFK showed a remarkable openness to the possibilities of extraterrestrial life. His interest raised questions about whether he sought disclosure, not only to the American people. In the shadowy corridors of Cold War America, government secrecy was paramount, especially when it came to unidentified aerial phenomena and potential extraterrestrial encounters. For decades, agencies buried information on strange sightings, employing a complex web of denial, misdirection, and silence. However, in 1963, President John F. Kennedy took an extraordinary step to challenge this legacy of concealment, issuing a memo to the CIA urging them to share classified UFO data with NASA. This action went further than any prior presidential inquiry. Kennedy even suggested that certain findings could be disclosed to the Soviet Union, a striking move, particularly in an era of heightened nuclear tensions. For Kennedy, this appeal wasn't just an intellectual exercise. It represented a chance to reframe Cold War rivalries through cooperation in the exploration of space. But this bold approach risked angering powerful factions within his own government, some of whom viewed his bid for transparency as a direct threat to national security. The memo Kennedy sent on November 12, 1963, just 10 days before his assassination, stands as a historical anomaly. The document, sometimes called the Burned Memo, reveals Kennedy's desire for collaboration and openness regarding UFO phenomena. In it, he ordered the Central Intelligence Agency to work with NASA to collect and analyze UFO-related data, even suggesting coordination with the Soviets on any extraterrestrial matters that could impact global security. The rationale was to prevent any possible misinterpretation of these unexplained phenomena as hostile actions, a particularly volatile risk in the Cold War climate. To Kennedy, sharing information on potential extraterrestrial life was a means of safeguarding humanity from misunderstandings that could lead to war. Kennedy's call for UFO disclosure, however, was far from popular in Washington. His vision challenged entrenched systems of secrecy that were fiercely protected by intelligence agencies and military-industrial factions. Throughout the Cold War, secrecy wasn't merely a policy, it was an imperative. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a high-stakes power struggle, where control of information often translated into strategic advantage. The CIA, in particular, was known for its tight control over intelligence, operating under an unwritten rule that information should be shared only on a need-to-know basis. To Kennedy, this culture of extreme secrecy was stifling. His administration had already faced the implications of intelligence failures during events like the Bay of Pigs invasion and the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he sought to push back against such rigid policies. His UFO memo, which requested a higher level of transparency and cross-agency coordination, was a direct affront to the long-standing structure of classified information control. In his famous address to the United Nations in 1963, Kennedy called for the U.S. and the USSR to collaborate on space exploration, appealing for a shared effort that could transcend earthly conflicts. He proposed joint lunar missions, cooperative research, and the unification of scientific resources, a proposal that challenged the very foundations of Cold War rivalry. His insistence on cooperation struck some within the intelligence community as dangerously naive, potentially even threatening. Intelligence agencies, like the CIA, had spent years building covert operations designed to outmaneuver Soviet advancements, and many within these organizations believed transparency with the Soviets risked exposing vulnerabilities. For these factions, Kennedy's vision was more than optimistic. It was radical.
The United Nations 18th General Assembly, which opened in an unusually hopeful atmosphere, here's a message of interplanetary importance from President Kennedy, who arrives with Ambassador Adlai Stevenson.
Finally, in a field where the United States and the Soviet Union have a special capacity in the field of space, there is room for new cooperation, for further joint efforts in the regulation and exploration of space. I include among these possibilities a joint expedition to the moon. Space offers no problems of sovereignty. By resolution of this assembly, the members of the United Nations have forsworn any claim to territorial rights in outer space or on celestial bodies, and declared that international law and the United Nations Charter will apply, why, therefore, should man's first flight to the moon be a matter of national competition? Why should the United States and the Soviet Union, in preparing for such expeditions, become involved in immense duplications of research, construction, and expenditure?
One of the most significant operations of this period was Operation Palladium, a covert CIA initiative launched in the early 1960s. Palladium was designed to exploit the paranoia of the era by creating ghost planes, radar blips, and other aerial illusions that would trigger Soviet defenses. This operation wasn't merely about gathering information. It was about psychological warfare, tricking Soviet intelligence into revealing their radar capabilities and response protocols. By manipulating radar signals and creating phantom planes, Palladium sowed confusion and kept the Soviets on edge, all while giving the US valuable insights into Soviet defense systems. But this deception also deepened distrust between the two superpowers, creating a more volatile environment. To Kennedy, such provocative actions served only to escalate tensions unnecessarily, complicating his vision for global unity. His memo can be seen as a rebuke of operations like Palladium, which he believed threatened the possibility of peaceful cooperation and the reduction of nuclear threat. The Majestic 12 documents, which surfaced in the 1980s, cast an even darker shadow over the secrecy surrounding UFOs and government control. Allegedly classified records from the 1940s and 1950s, the MJ-12 documents described a secret committee reportedly formed by President Harry Truman in response to the 1947 Roswell incident, which allegedly involved a crashed extraterrestrial craft. According to these documents, MJ-12 was composed of top scientists, military leaders, and intelligence insiders tasked with containing extraterrestrial knowledge and managing any findings related to alien life. These files, if legitimate, suggest that UFOs were of deep strategic interest to the US government from the early Cold War period, and that a rigorous information control system had been established decades before Kennedy's memo. Though dismissed by many as hoaxes, the MJ-12 files detailed one such classified program that later gained credibility: Operation Palladium. Initially, the concept of Palladium's phantom operations seemed like an elaborate fiction. But with the operation's declassification, MJ-12's descriptions of covert government tactics designed to obscure UFO events became eerily plausible. The Palladium techniques were not only real, but aligned with what MJ-12 allegedly outlined: advanced strategies to monitor, manipulate, and control how UFO sightings were perceived. The overlap between MJ-12's claims and Palladium's confirmed details lent MJ-12 an unexpected legitimacy and fueled speculation that the government was indeed engaged in deliberate deception on UFO matters. Kennedy's push for UFO disclosure places him precariously close to the powerful currents of secrecy swirling around MJ-12 and the UFO phenomena. According to MJ-12 lore, the committee operated under strict protocols, ensuring that extraterrestrial information was kept in an extremely limited circle. If Kennedy's efforts to promote interagency cooperation and transparency threatened these containment practices, his call for openness would have been seen as an intolerable breach. His memo to the CIA, requesting shared information between NASA and other agencies, may have alarmed officials within MJ-12 who were committed to secrecy at all costs. Some theorists suggest that this memo, sent just days before Kennedy's assassination, marked him as a threat to the covert structure that had been meticulously maintained since Roswell. His assassination, they argue, may have been a drastic measure to prevent him from further dismantling these safeguards. While Kennedy's assassination remains a subject of widespread speculation, his alleged interactions with MJ-12 add another layer to the mystery. Was the memo one factor in his death, or merely a coincidence? Although the authenticity of the MJ-12 documents is hotly contested, they continue to captivate the public because they resonate with documented practices like Palladium. These revelations have led many to reconsider the extent to which agencies might go to control information, maintain secrecy, and obscure public understanding of UFO phenomena. His call for transparency, his demand for shared information on UFOs, and his push for cooperation with the Soviets stood in stark contrast to the secrecy, manipulation, and psychological tactics that defined Cold War intelligence. If MJ-12 was real, and if it wielded influence over such projects, then Kennedy's demands for openness may have been perceived as destabilizing to their carefully maintained secrecy. The implications of MJ-12 extend far beyond Kennedy's presidency. If the MJ-12 documents describe actual events, they suggest that the top-level government operations were working to conceal information not only from the public, but from other branches of government, and possibly even the highest office. Some suggest that this containment has continued in various forms, with modern UAP investigations hindered by remnants of Cold War-era secrecy. Even recent Pentagon acknowledgments of UAP studies have rekindled questions about how much of our understanding of extraterrestrial matters has been shaped, manipulated, or suppressed by decades-old policies.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. Seconds. Lights on.
Kennedy's vision of disclosure and his appeal for international cooperation in space exploration was, perhaps, both noble and dangerous. To this day, his assassination is shrouded in ambiguity, with many wondering if his commitment to transparency and disclosure may have played a role. Each re-examination of his speeches, his memo, and the records of his presidency suggests a man who believed that certain truths should be shared with humanity. The debate over his legacy endures, intertwined with questions of power, secrecy, and the tension between a government's duty to protect its citizens and its desire to control information. Ultimately, Kennedy's memo remains a powerful reminder of a moment when the U.S. government's attitudes toward secrecy and disclosure were tested at the highest levels. His legacy invites us to consider the lingering impact of Cold War secrecy and the ongoing search for truth within a web of decades-old concealment. With each new release of information, every declassified file, and each public disclosure, the mystery of Kennedy's final days and his ultimate intentions remains alive, challenging us to question where the line between national security and public knowledge should be drawn.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully...
After Kennedy, several presidents took up the torch, each eager to shed light on this enduring mystery, yet each thwarted in ways that added to the intrigue. When Jimmy Carter ran for office in 1976, he vowed to reveal the government's UFO secrets if elected, a promise born out of a personal sighting in 1969 that left him convinced there was more in the skies than we understood. But once in office, Carter faced an iron wall of classified files and intelligence barriers, forcing him to step back from his commitment. The secrecy surrounding the phenomenon proved insurmountable, even for a sitting president. Ronald Reagan, too, had a brush with the unknown. In the early 1970s, as governor of California, Reagan and several others witnessed an object they couldn't explain. As president, he spoke openly about the idea of an extraterrestrial threat, famously addressing the United Nations with a hypothetical question: could an outside force, an alien presence, unify humanity against a common foe? His comments added a cinematic element to the mystery, hinting at the stakes of an unknown universe waiting just beyond the stars.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Bill Clinton entered office years later with renewed curiosity. During his presidency, he probed his intelligence agencies about Roswell and Area 51, eager to understand what, if anything, lay beneath the stories of crashed spacecraft and secret government installations. But Clinton, too, hit a wall. Later, he admitted that despite his efforts, no solid evidence had come to light. If such secrets existed, they were beyond even his reach as commander-in-chief. In recent years, the allure of the UFO mystery has only grown. Barack Obama acknowledged in interviews after his presidency that sightings of objects in the skies we can't fully explain are real, a statement that ignited public fascination and left many wondering if disclosure was on the horizon.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern.
Obama's tone was measured, hinting at the fine line every president seems to walk, validating the mystery while holding back the elusive details. Donald Trump's presidency saw an unexpected move toward transparency. Amid rising reports from military pilots and high-ranking officials, his administration established the UAP task force to investigate these encounters. Trump himself teased the public, claiming he knew very interesting things about Roswell, but ultimately remained tight-lipped, leaving behind another trail of curiosity and speculation. Under President Joe Biden, the UFO question persists with fresh momentum. The Pentagon and NASA have joined forces to investigate what they now openly call unidentified aerial phenomena, driven by increased transparency, new reports, and public demand for answers. Each administration has brought us closer to the truth, yet it remains elusive, like a flickering light in the night sky, always visible, but never within reach.
NASA searches for the unknown in air and space. We are looking for signs of life, past and present. And it's in our DNA to explore and to ask why things are the way they are. In June of last year, NASA commissioned an independent study team to examine unidentified anomalous phenomena. We did so with a few goals in mind. First, to examine how NASA can use our expertise and instruments to study UAP from a scientific perspective. Second, shift the conversation about UAP from sensationalism to science, and to make sure that whatever we find or whatever we recommend, to make sure that information is shared transparently around the world.
As the public's demand for disclosure continues, NASA has grown more prominent in UAP research, taking on a role that merges scientific inquiry with what was once the purview of classified government projects. With its recent independent studies on UAPs and a formalized UAP research team, NASA now stands at the intersection of curiosity and caution, balancing its mandate for transparency with national security concerns and its scientific objectives. NASA's expanded role in UAP research marks a new chapter in humanity's enduring quest to understand and potentially connect with extraterrestrial civilizations. For decades, this mission has been the backbone of programs like SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, which, since its founding in the 1960s, has focused on scanning the cosmos for faint signals that might suggest intelligent life. Funded in part by NASA during its early years and supported by other research institutions, SETI scientists have honed their technology to detect even the slightest irregularities in cosmic radio waves, hints that a distant civilization might be trying to communicate across the stars. Today, SETI's cutting-edge arrays and algorithms sift through billions of radio frequencies, identifying patterns that deviate from natural sources in the universe. But humanity hasn't just listened passively. We've also boldly reached out into the void. In 1974, the Arbo Message, a binary-coded signal encoding key information about Earth and its inhabitants, was broadcast to the globular star cluster M13. Conceived by Frank Drake and others, the message encapsulated details about our location, species, and the structure of our solar system, intended as a beacon to announce our existence to any distant civilizations within range. Since then, similar messages, like the Voyager Golden Records sent aboard the Voyager spacecraft in 1977, have also left Earth, carrying sounds, images, and symbols meant to represent the diversity and curiosity of humankind. These transmissions symbolize our hope and longing for connection, but also stir unease. Figures like the late physicist Stephen Hawking warned that alerting unknown civilizations to our presence could carry risks, perhaps even grave ones, given that their intentions would be entirely unpredictable. As NASA's involvement in UAP studies brings new transparency and rigor to this field, it builds on humanity's legacy of searching the stars, reminding us of both our boundless curiosity and the profound mysteries we face. With each signal we listen for and every message we send, we step further into the unknown, seeking an answer that could redefine what it means to be human in a vast, largely silent universe. NASA's contributions to these efforts go beyond SETI scans and messages. They extend into the theoretical realm of how we might communicate with extraterrestrial beings if we ever make contact. Researchers have studied animal communication on Earth as a foundation for decoding potential alien languages. Just as scientists work to understand whale songs or the complex social signals of primates, they theorize that similar principles might apply in interpreting an extraterrestrial language. How would we communicate with beings that may not share our biology, our symbols, or even our understanding of reality? Drawing insights from cross-species communication, NASA's linguists bioscientists, and data experts work to imagine ways we could bridge vast chasms in understanding. The promise and the peril of reaching out to unknown civilizations is a poignant reminder of Kennedy's original desire for collaboration and openness. Just as JFK saw the potential for uniting with the Soviet Union in space, modern scientists and researchers view extraterrestrial contact as an opportunity to expand our unity beyond Earth. Yet, with this quest come new challenges and mysteries, raising questions about how we communicate, protect, and represent ourselves in the face of the cosmic unknown. Are we truly prepared to listen to or answer a voice from the stars?
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
But even as presidents have pushed for disclosure, an intricate web of secrecy continues to defend the gates to any truth that may exist. The classified halls of the Pentagon and the fortified layers of agencies like the CIA protect information behind a nearly impenetrable wall. These agencies argue that this secrecy is necessary, that full disclosure could compromise national security, revealing sensitive military capabilities or risking widespread public alarm. The barrier to understanding isn't merely an act of concealment, but a maze of bureaucratic checks, deep-rooted policies, and some say, an outright refusal to confront the unknown. Yet, despite these barriers, a new chapter is unfolding. With global pressure mounting, NASA has entered the fray, taking on a role that no other administration-backed organization has dared. In 2023, NASA appointed its first UAP research director, a figure tasked with examining these unexplained phenomena in ways the agency has never done before. This mission is no small undertaking. While NASA's exploration is designed to be transparent, it operates within the same government structure that has long kept these secrets closely guarded. Now, this storied agency faces the task of unraveling mysteries that others have spent decades locking away. For NASA, the stakes are high. With each discovery, the agency is forging a new path, stepping closer to either confirming the profound or demystifying the misunderstood. By blending scientific rigor with advanced technology, they are combing through decades of data, investigating new UAP encounters, and mapping out phenomena across Earth's atmosphere and beyond. The agency has committed to a vision that crosses the boundaries of government, bringing scientists from around the world into an unprecedented collaboration. But even NASA's efforts may only reach so far. If they succeed in finding answers, they may unlock a truth that reshapes our understanding of the universe, of ourselves, and of the life that may, or may not, exist beyond our world. For now, we wait, captivated by the flickering possibilities, knowing that each probe, each study, and each declassified report brings us closer to the ultimate question. Are we alone? Or have we simply not been looking hard enough?